Welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather, and today we are going to do a leftover recipe. Now, oftentimes people will tell me that they have tons of leftovers and sometimes they go bad, which is unfortunate because, hey, I love utilizing leftovers. So oftentimes I'll have leftover chicken and I'll be like, ooh, I can make enchilada. However, I was talking to my friend this week and I said, yeah, we're having enchiladas tomorrow night. And she's like, oh, are you recording it? And I'm like, oh, no, because enchiladas are so boring. And she's like, wait, they're what? I don't know how to make enchiladas. Did you learn? Did you just grow up knowing how to make enchiladas? I mean, like, that's something that people don't normally make. So that might be a really good video. And so I mulled on it for a couple days and then I ended up with leftovers. And I thought, oh my goodness, perfect opportunity to use up my leftovers and show you how enchilada works in my house. However, I decided that I was going to twist it up a little bit, only we are gonna try and use a springform pan. So hopefully I'll be able to open it and you'll see those awesome layers in the inside. So without further ado, are you ready to get started on this adventure? I know I am. I have some hungry people waiting. All right, let's go. All right, so part of the beauty of this recipe is that you can use absolutely any meat that you have. I've used pork, I've used chicken, I've used beef. I've used lamb. So you really can use any leftover meat that you have. The only thing that you have to do to kind of spice it up to be Mexican is put a little taco seasoning in it. So I have some just Joe Average taco seasoning, probably McCormick's or something like that. And I'm just gonna sprinkle it in, and I'm using beef today. I'm just gonna sprinkle it in my leftover beef. We also need to add a little bit of moisture in there. So I'm gonna use my homemade enchilada sauce. And I'm just gonna put a few spoonfuls in just because I want to kind of bring back some of the moisture from it already being browned. All right, so now that our meat is nice and wettened, I'm gonna just take a taste. Oh yeah, that's delicious. Ooh, that's gonna be good. All right, so let's move on to preparing our enchilada. Now, if you were just doing this in a 9x13, you would do everything that I'm going to do, but since I'm gonna try to get it in the springform pan, we're gonna do a couple new things. And we're just flying by the seat of our pants here. I have never seen this done. So I'm gonna take a piece of parchment paper. So I'm gonna do it like this. So as you can see, the parchment is inside the pan, around the outside of so hopefully it will help keep in some of those juices and yet help it to come out of the springform pan. That's my thought anyway. We'll see if that works out or not. All right, so now that I have my hopefully leak-proof springform idea, we're just gonna get started. So when I do a regular enchilada, I usually just put some enchilada sauce on the bottom first. And the reason is I don't like when my enchiladas stick to the bottom of the baking dish. And so this kind of helps them not stick to the bottom, which is really nice. And we're just gonna kind of paint it around with my little silicone brush here. Looks fantastic. And at this point, you really don't have to be pretty because no one's gonna see the bottom. Literally, no one's gonna see the bottom. I don't even think you'll see, I won't see, we won't see the bottom, no matter. So let's take our tortillas here. And if you are a flour tortilla lover, you probably could use flour tortillas as well. But I'm actually technically allergic to flour. So I enjoy corn tortillas. My husband doesn't like them as much as I do, but All right, there's 4, and there's a couple spaces where I have nothing there. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold my tortilla and just get a little bit in there, just because I want all of the places to be covered with tortilla, all the bottom. All right, so that's our first layer. Now we're just going to put in whatever meat you have. So if you have chicken, go ahead and start putting your chicken down. If you have pork, make sure it's seasoned, but go ahead and get that down and just get a good layer. Now here's where the fun part comes in. If you have leftover beans, you would go ahead and put your beans down first. I actually did not have any beans left over, which is actually a travesty. I'm gonna have to go to the store because this house eats a lot of beans. So, all right, see, as you can see, it has a great layer of meat down. Now I'm just gonna start layering all of the other things. So we're gonna go ahead and put down some of this leftover onion. I also have some leftover corn, so I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle my corn in. If you had some white rice that you could spice up with some salsa, you could definitely put that in as well, but I would put it between the layers. So usually I put my beans and meat together in one layer, and then I put maybe beans and rice on another layer, or just meat on one layer and beans and rice on the other layer. Just depends on my mood and how much leftovers I have. But now we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of cheese. Just a little, don't overdo it. But you do want plenty of cheese. I mean, you're gonna have a couple layers with cheese, so just don't overdo it. We're gonna go ahead and put down our tortillas again. So I'll go ahead and put 4 down, and then I'll break 1 in half the same way we did earlier. And now we are gonna go ahead and put some more enchilada sauce down. Already, this smells so good. All right, so now that we have our red enchilada sauce, bam, let's do it all over again. So I'm just gonna put the same amount of meat on the top that I had on the bottom. Like I said, if you had that rice or that beans or whatever, go ahead and put that layer on instead. But since I don't have leftover rice, but I do have leftover everything else, this is what I'm gonna do, and it's gonna be amazing. Oh, and it's very important that you don't put anything raw in this enchilada. Everything needs to be cooked, and basically we're just gonna warm it and marry it together. If you put something raw in there, it probably won't cook by the time other things start to burn. So just keep that in mind. That's why this is a great leftover recipe. You can literally just throw in whatever you got, whatever. All right, let's do some cheese. All right, so this is gonna be where we do our last layer, and you can do as many layers as you want. Normally I do about 3 layers. This only has 2, but that's because all I have is meat and cheese and corn. So I'm really not, I don't need another layer of meat in my enchilada. All right, now we are gonna get that sauce on. Now this time you wanna be super generous with your sauce because you want it to kind of drip everywhere and go into all the places. So just make sure that you have covered all of your tortillas very well with sauce. Store-bought sauce is a little runnier, for lack of a better word. So you probably could just pour it and it would go where you need it to go. But this homemade sauce, I get to control the consistency. So that's why you see it kind of like a paste. So, and it's really nice when it's a paste because then it stays where I put it. And as it warms, it will move a little bit. All right, so let's make sure everything is covered with sauce. All right, and this is our last thing to do. We are gonna sprinkle this with a light smattering of cheese. Don't go heavy, keep light, or else you won't enjoy it later. Just trust me on that. If you have olives, which I do not have olives today, unless you put Kalamata olives in and then, ew. I don't know, that briny, ew. No thanks. If you had olives, you could definitely decorate the top of this with olives. I do have some jalapenos, so we are gonna put a couple jalapenos right on the top. It looks like a pizza pie, doesn't it? That looks pretty cool. It looks very pizza pie-like. And here I have a red and a green jalapeno that I will just take a couple slices off of. All right, and we will just decorate the top. And there we have it. Our enchiladas are ready to go. All right, it's very important that you cover when you bake it. And the reason is that you want this to warm and cook and start bubbling before the cheese starts to brown. You only want to take off the foil after the last 5 to 10 minutes. So check it 5 minutes before you are ready to eat, and then take off the foil, and then it'll brown up the cheese and look beautiful. All right, so let's get this covered. And we are gonna get this in a 375 oven for about 30 minutes, or until everything is warm and bubbling and everything looks kind of gooey and all the cheese has melted, because everything is cooked already. So basically you're just warming everything into a nice little delicious little pie. 5 minutes before you are ready to take it out, go ahead and take off the lid and let it brown so the cheese gets nice and brown and crispy. Oh, this is gonna be so good. All right, I'll see you back here when the timer goes off. All right, see ya. Ta-da! It's out, and look at how beautiful it looks. I did let it cool just slightly so I could handle it, but here comes the big reveal. Will this springform pan have held it together? Will it work? No gush. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Look at how cool that looks. Yes. Wow, I'm impressed. Way to go, me. All right, so let's get in here and get ourselves a slice. I am gonna go ahead and grab a pie server because I cannot ensure that I'm getting everything from the bottom. All right, here we go. Wow, look at that. That looks fantastic. Check out that beauty. Okay, so I'm gonna top it with a little lettuce and some sour cream, and voila, whoops. Wow, look at that. And now here comes the taste test. I already know that it is amazing because we make this all of the time, but I will taste it for you so that you know that it's amazing. Because you believe me somehow? I don't know. It's my favorite leftover meal ever. You just throw whatever you have in there, call it good. So amazing. You should try it. Just use what leftovers you have. Make sure they're kind of Mexican-y. Make sure they're kind of Mexican-ish. And then make your own enchilada. So, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go so that I can serve this up for my family. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I do videos several times a week, and I'm always adventuring in the kitchen. So until next time, you guys, we'll see you later. Bye. Brilliant.